Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And wow, the internet is rife.
Whoa, but with controversy.
Yes, yeah. So Matt Rife, who's someone I'd seen on TikTok, doing like those bits of crowd work, and to be fair, good at crowd work.
Yeah,
you know, that's a specific skill.
Sure. I have seen a lot of his stuff, like I said, coming up on TikTok and stuff. I don't get the whole handsome thing.
I don't find him particularly handsome. He looks like he's trying to be handsome.
Yes.
It looks like he does a lot to maintain that. He's in great shape.
Yes.
So kudos to you for having the stamina to spend that much time at the gym.
I gotta be honest, I really feel like I need to look him up again because I feel like he's that kind of person who like is so
There's something about his face that's too perfect, where it's like he's definitely had filler to make himself as symmetrical as possible.
You nailed it when you said uncanny valley.
It's uncanny valley. There's something weird with his face. And this is not meant to be body shaming at all, by the way. It's just that he's being advertised. I think an article from the New York Times popped up in my email where they were like, comedy is leaning towards attractive men, and they were using him as an example. And I'm like, it's fine. He looks well maintained.
Yeah. That's great for him.
Yeah.
But what is so hilarious to me about this whole thing is that like he's obvious, like his social media team and his marketing and his crowd has been focused on women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And women like him. And they're the reason why he has a Netflix special.
That he immediately opens with a domestic violence joke.
And to be fair,
Of the things that are funny,
that's not it.
This isn't
that
it.
ain't it.
That
and
is
what year is
not
this? Is this
funny.
like 1982 stand up? Like, what are you doing?
take my wife. No, seriously, take my wife.
One of these days, Alice, to the moon.
Just
woof. I haven't watched the special. I have no interest in watching the special. I have not even seen the bit, but I've heard enough about it that I know what it is. And basically it was like a joke about they went to a restaurant and the server had a black eye. And basically the joke was that like, well, maybe she couldn't cook. And so somehow that is deserving
where's the joke?
Getting punched in the face.
Where's the joke?
Well, then that's the other thing is that I've also heard that his whole special is very unfunny. Like he's not good at stand up. He's good at crowd work.
Wow.
But the part of it that is, as you were saying, Christina, kind of the most interesting part is that like women, Drew Afualo did a whole thing on this where she was talking about it because her base is majority women. And also she knows a lot about like marketing. She has an entire team as well. Yeah. She's also made her name on social media. So she understands how the algorithms work and all that stuff works. Women make money.
Yeah.
Women spend money. Like women are the ones who are going to build your shit. We saw what happened with the Eras tour and the Renaissance tour and the Barbie movie.
In the year of that holy trinity, you're going to come in here and disrespect us like that?
You're lucky stars because whenever he was
here because of us, sir.
And when he was confronted about it,
Your jaw work.
basically what he said was that was intentional, that he was trying to alienate his female base because he wants men to like him. He wants the boys to like him.
That is sad.
That's pathetic.
That you think you can win boys or men to your side by doing a DV joke, you know?
Yeah.
What is that saying? I don't like that. I mean,
that just sounds,
And then he posted a thing on Instagram where he's like, here's my official apology with a link.
Please don't.
And do you want to know what it was?
Him
Do you know
flipping
what
us
it
off.
was?
No.
Oh, it's so much worse than that.
Oh, great.
It was, oh God, this is so bad. I don't even really want to say it, but it wasn't me. It was Matt Rife. Direct your anger towards him. So the link for everyone who was offended by his domestic violence joke.
I already know.
It was
with that tone.
It was a special needs helmet.
wow.
For children.
Wow. So then now we're going to mock disabilities. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So he's trash. I think we can all agree.
His career so far.
I hope so, but you know what? I don't know anymore.
Maybe.
I don't know. I keep going to like look and see if he's lost followers, and I'm not sure. I don't know. This world is so fucked.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's a strategy. I'm not sure if I was his publicist, agent, any of that, it would be one that I would endorse.
I mean, the thing is, this particular special might do
you?
numbers, like it might do streams, because there is so much controversy around it that people will go and watch it just to see
what the joke
what
was.
it is.
Yeah.
So he might be able to on paper say, I was number one on Netflix or whatever.
And
that
I haven't
might
even
be
seen it pop up on Netflix. if I'm
I've
honest.
seen it. It was number one when it came out.
Oh.
But it could just be number one because of the controversy. That doesn't mean you're going to have lasting success.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely go check out Drew Afwalo's TikTok about it, because I think it's
She hits the nail on the head.
very articulate reason as to why this is just such a fucking bad
Fail.
move.
Yeah, not only are you a garbage human, you're also a bad business person. Like, just looking at it from a dollars and cents
You're just
perspective.
not good at making decisions, clearly.
Yeah.
Like who, why, what?
Well,
None of it
surely-
makes sense.
Also, you have a team of people.
yeah.
Everybody was like, yeah.
Well, you know who
Go
else
for it.
isn't good at making decisions? Apparently,
People? Is it
people studies.
Is it People magazine who
They said
released
according
this?
to a study.
Okay.
What study?
According to a study, I don't remember being contacted
I was
for this.
not
No,
contacted.
and I did read it. So I read the article because the article was on BuzzFeed, and it said the sexiest bald man alive contest causes controversy.
You
and
got
yes,
me
it does.
fucked up if you think that Prince William
Yes.
sir, who won't commit fully to just being bald
Which
either.
is the truth.
The three flaying hairs that he's like just
He's rocking a Homer
wisping.
Simpson. And the way he would be so much more attractive if he just let it go.
He
Yeah.
really is. It's just like 5 wispy hairs on the side of his
So
head.
apparently the list was based on Google searches for bald men with the words shirtless or naked. Just because
Who is doing that search?
Well, I'm
for
about to
Prince
right now.
William, who's like, listen, I am the resident.
you are. You
Like,
love
I
a baldy.
love a bald man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that search itself, sexy, bald, shirtless, or whatever, is a bad thing.
No.
It may be in my search
Yeah.
history for
But
all I know.
not Prince William specifically. No. Because that man, listen, as someone who used to love, like, I was a 90s gal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen this new season of The Crown?
Not yet. Oh my God, not yet.
The
Perfect.
young Prince William looks
I saw him in the
dead
trailer.
on.
And look,
like him.
young Prince William, everybody of that age
Yeah.
loved young Prince William. He was hot. And he was a prince. He was like a Disney.
It was the prince effect for sure.
He was like a Disney prince.
Because if he
had that
wasn't a
vibe.
prince, he's just another dude.
Well, I don't know.
Let's be
I
honest.
really liked blondes at the time. I thought he was a good looking guy. Like when he was younger, I think he was a good looking guy. He looked more like his mama when he was younger. As he's aged, he is leaning into
Literally
those
Into his Charles
genes.
years.
Yeah.
He looks
Ooh.
full on.
Yeah, I think also just all of the just the grossness to me of the royal family
Yeah.
and
The
everything
royal ick.
from the last 5 years that's gone on with the
You know what it is?
racism and all
The royal family, they age like Siths. And I think it's all of that. Like there is something nasty, like something
Bad
spoiled.
energy.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
like causing you over time.
Look how good Prince Harry looks.
That's because he got out. He got some sun.
getting that Montecito
Got that
glow.
California. Get that
Yes.
California sun.
Yeah, because everyone else looks stressed, honey.
Yeah.
They look, and we know stress ages you. Okay, they look not good. There is nothing sexy about Prince William at this point.
Look,
in
and
his
let's
life.
be honest, he married a black woman and they believe
Prince
in
Harry.
lotion.
Oh God, yeah, he helped. Lotion and
Creams.
seasonings
That's
really
exactly-
helped him.
Listen, he's like,
Helped Harry out.
I taste flavors now.
Yeah.
Like a taco.
Oh my God, I watched a
What is
TikTok.
it? Taco.
I watched a TikTok of these British guys who had come to the United States and they went to New Orleans. And
Oh, their
they
mouths exploded.
Tried the way it cracked me up so hard because they had catfish.
Yeah.
Fried catfish. And they were saying how like fish and chips are like, oh, it's such a British thing. They took a bite of this catfish and they were like, did they season the breading?
Yeah.
Like,
of course.
yes. And I'm sitting here thinking, all my life I've heard about British fish and chips. I don't even like fish, but if I went to England, I would try it.
Oh yeah, classic fish and chip with some vinegar.
But you're telling me this
malted
whole
vinegar.
fucking time
Yeah.
that British fish and chips, they don't season the batter?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's just plain batter.
It's
It's just flour.
Yep.
Flour paste on fish.
Butter
Yep.
batter.
That's
Now they've heard of beer battered.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
But
pretty
still,
also basic.
like-
yeah.
Yeah. No.
But it's good. Like if you put a little like but you have to put the shit on, right?
Right.
Like you have to do this add the
but
things.
why? Okay, this is a conversation for another time. We're getting off site.
Yes. No, but seriously, what study did they do?
Yeah.
That
Who was this poll? I was
for
not
Prince
polled.
William. That is
No, it's just
bananas.
based on Google searches, which doesn't mean anything.
Well,
that could
that
just be
just-
morbid curiosity.
I mean,
that could be
how
anything.
Many people Googled Vladimir Putin with his shirt off on a horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it
Because
doesn't
they
mean
wanted to see
Yeah.
the
I wanna
photo
see
and
the
laugh
thing.
at it.
Well, you know who else was on that list? Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
So it's not that
No.
you think that this person is sexy. You
Okay.
just
That guy
want
looks like Yoda. Doesn't he?
heavy
Oh.
Star Wars references today.
Very much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it.
You,
I think he's arguably good looking. If he wasn't
no.
just
CFO. You
It's
are
my
kidding.
house.
I'm
You have to leave.
Oh my God.
I think
No
that,
way.
like,
I'm looking
okay,
up a photo
but
right
looks
now.
AI generated.
garbage.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm
I'm not saying he's a good person, but I think he's arguably, like, for a bald guy, I think he's an arguably good looking guy.
That-
No comment.
It's
Okay, I will tell you, I would
if he passed me in
hold
a
on.
club.
Prince William.
Okay, not
or-
that picture. I saw it. Okay. Well, he's clearly caught in like a.
Oh
I don't-
my God.
Yeah, like
He's not for me.
he's better looking than Prince William.
Disagree.
Oh,
Disagree. Agree to disagree.
I neither, please.
I don't like this. This is a rock hard place situation. that I'm not.
You're
not
like,
in
I
the-
don't feel comfy here.
I don't want any of that.
You're like squirming my way out of this.
Yeah, no, thank you. But okay, given all of that,
Okay.
so we've just established what we don't like.
Yes.
That I have bad taste.
And
okay.
I know I know that we've done bald guys before.
Ball Guys 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Bald
All right.
Guys, the sequel, to show them what
All
they
right.
should have done, could have done.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I'm going to pick somebody that I don't think is quite as controversial. Then
Okay.
Jason Statham.
Jason
Ah.
Statham.
Jason Statham.
I think he's hot.
I think he's good
I
looking.
also like that
His
kind
movies
of
are not
like,
good, but-
like
And I love action movies.
I like that like dirty
Yeah.
British accent too, like that like kind of down and dirty.
It's choky.
I like it.
It is.
Yes, it is.
You got a choky voice,
Oh
sir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you imagine that talking to you in bed?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
hot.
Yes, I can. And
You can. You're like, I'm thinking
I
about it
am
right now.
at this moment. Yeah.
Speaking of sexy, hot, British, bald guys, Mark Strong.
Mark Strong.
What is he in?
He was in 1917. He's worked forever, and he's always playing British bad guys. He's got that look.
He was in Cruella. Here, I'll bring up a picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Hot.
It's
Yeah.
so
He's
so hot.
Trying to think of what I would know him from.
Gosh, yeah,
You
he's
said he'd been in just a lot of.
He and a lot of
Cruella.
action movies too. So you've
Oh,
probably
I've
seen
definitely
him.
seen him
Yeah,
for
in
sure then.
in action movies, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's show the picture first.
Holy shit!
Yes, sexy.
He kind of has a Stanley Tucci.
like Stanley Tucci's hotter older brother. Yeah, and I still
Wow.
think the
that plays
Tooch is
rugby.
I still think the Tooch is hot too.
Yeah.
For
Have
the
you
record.
seen the guy on TikTok that does the impression of him?
No, is it
Stanley
amazing?
Tucci?
It's amazing.
Oh,
yes,
I love
I'll
it.
bring it up
Okay.
after this.
I love it.
But yeah,
Okay, Mark Strong, Jason Statham. I'm going to bring one home for the Americans here. And I'm going to go with I'm going to go with everyone's favorite Zaddy and go Christopher Meloni.
Oh,
And
That ass,
we know
though.
that ass is stacked. We've seen that booty.
Listen, I didn't even
America's
watch.
booty.
I didn't even watch. That's America's booty.
That's right. That is right. So this is Stabler
Yeah.
from Law and Order SVU for those of you
Fuck.
who might not know.
Well
and
done.
listen,
Well played.
I know we are a
Well played.
I know Law and Order is propaganda.
Yes.
But
We can fully.
that aside,
I feel like that TikTok thing that went around with that girl. She's like, all cops are bad.
yeah, all cops are just zooming in closer and closer on Christopher Meloni's butt.
Oh no.
He's fine.
Oh,
So we've chosen 3 kind of like older men too.
I like this
here.
dress.
Was
Yeah.
a regular in the restaurant
Oh.
too, and is
so
the
fucking nice.
nicest.
Oh, I love it.
Damn it.
Okay, because
All
I
right.
knew we were going to ask, and this is somehow unsurprising.
Okay.
Because I knew we were going to ask about zodiac signs. I looked them up.
I'm nervous because I feel like I picked.
What do you think Jason Statham is?
I feel like he's got to be like a
getting-
Sagittarius, Scorpio.
I'm getting Scorpio.
You're
vibes.
getting Scorpio vibes?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Strong, guesses?
Cancer.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good guess. That's a good
Yeah.
guess. Or Aquarius, even maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel a Cancer vibe.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
Maloney.
And Maloney, what do we think?
Oh, Aries, fiery, something.
I
I'm
think he's
thinking.
earthy.
You think?
I'm feeling like a Virgo, possibly even Capricorn.
Well, ladies,
Okay.
all 3 of these men are fire signs.
Oh no. This
Maloney
tracks.
is an Aries.
They're too hot to keep their hair.
Yes, that's exactly right. They burned it all off.
Burnt right out.
Burnt it right off. And the
this
other
is-
2 are Leos.
Okay.
We got 2 Leos and an Aries in the house here.
Well, this is
That's a tough one. That is a tough
awful.
one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry Chris Meloni. I feel strongly. I understand Aries better than I understand Leos. I don't have the energy for a Leo. I love them as friends. I have Leo friends.
Yeah.
So this is not an anti. But of those guys, he was the one I was going for anyway.
Yeah.
He's gonna
I need
fuck
to
you up.
know
Yeah.
what lunges, squats,
Yes,
things
look.
he is doing for that ass.
I will go to the gym with Christopher Meloni
Yeah.
and do his leg routine.
Yeah.
It will kill me, I think.
I'll do his leg
But-
routine. If you know what I mean?
Do you need a glute massage?
Feeling tired? I got you. And he on TikTok when there was, or not TikTok, but when he was on Twitter when there was such thing, he was always like very vocally, like
Progressive.
very progressive, very
and
progressive.
I think I've seen some interviews where he doesn't take himself too seriously.
No.
There, he pokes fun at himself, which I like.
that
No.
tracks.
That's an Aries trait.
That is a very Aries trait.
Yeah.
And I will be honest with you. I just long term, me and Leo as an Aries, I just can't see it working. But I am gonna fuck the strong boy.
Oh, Mark Strong.
Yeah.
Oof. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You just know that
Jason
guy has like
Statham
some
too, though.
green eye. Doesn't Mark Strong have green eyes?
It
They're
look-
like
they
very
look-
piercing.
Yes, he's got eyes. His eyes have eyes.
Yeah.
Maloney's are nice too, those
Yeah.
blue ones. But yeah, Mark Strong has a gaze about him that is, and that smirk.
Yeah. Here's the thing,
Jesus.
you guys. I feel like Jason Statham, however, I do believe will be good in bed. I believe might be a little bit more focused on himself, which
He
just
does
says a
give
lot.
selfish lover vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't he been with that model forever? Jason Statham? Rosie, what's her face? Anyway. Okay.
Tough.
It's hard.
It actually is tough. It is tough. Because I could see myself marrying Mark Strong or Christopher Meloni. Very different energies though.
Very different.
Very different vibes. Like I'm sitting in front of a fire on like a English country estate with Mark Strong.
But
The
don't-
Moors.
But I
Yeah.
literally see you with somebody very progressive. And I
Yeah.
feel like
Meloni.
I just can't imagine. I don't know what Mark Strong's politics are.
I don't either.
Let's not.
Yeah. Let's not.
We have to redo this whole segment.
But
and
I
find
do
some stuff.
know. But we do know that Maloney is.
You're right,
You guys
you're
have
right.
a lot of
You're right.
common
Yeah.
interests.
I do feel like Mark Strong actually could go either way because I just said country manor, not politics, but like country manor house.
Right,
I could also see him in like a city high rise, like in
for
London.
sure.
Too. Like I can see it going either way. However, I agree with you. Christopher Meloni is just a little sillier,
Yeah.
which I
Not
think
so
would
serious.
be a little bit more fun. Like we're going to dance in the kitchen to some like
Yes, you are.
fun music. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I will go to the gym with him.
Yeah.
He can whip my ass into shape.
That's right.
I
I
lo-
mean, what?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Were you guys talking? Because I was just looking at tons of pictures of Mark Strong. I'm like, what? Where are we?
So I'm going to do the same thing as Cassie. I am going to fuck Mark Strong, though. There is something. I think I have seen him since childhood as a bad British villain.
He does
in
play
movies
villains a lot, yeah.
for my entire life. And I would just like to, just walk on the wild side a little bit. Taste a little danger.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Taste the rainbow.
I'm going to marry Mark Strong.
Okay.
I like it.
I am a bad guy. So I am the bad guy. So yes, I would love to play villains with Mark Strong. The British countryside,
British humor,
is totally up my alley. I love it.
It's moody. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this one's tough.
Yeah.
I think either way it would be
You can't go wrong here. You really, you can't go wrong.
different experiences.
Yeah. And I think maybe I'm just I'm feeling naughty today, and I'm feeling like getting roughed up, and maybe we can do some like stunt training together.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna
Statham.
fuck Statham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
I like
that's
it. Yeah.
I bet he has a nice ass too.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
bet-
Yeah, definitely.
Listen.
You work out, you know. He keeps
Wiggle,
it
wiggle,
tight.
wiggle,
I think all three of these men keep it pretty tight, honestly.
Truly.
Yeah.
Keep it
For
sweet.
being like in their 50s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think that it could get like I said, the stunt training and stuff.
He's gonna
Could be
throw you
very
around.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to be jostled.
Jostled.
Like a crash test dummy. I
That's
like that.
right.
You're going to do it.
Me like
Name this fucking episode.
100%.
God.
Sometimes that's what you want, and Statham looks like he's up to the job.
Yeah.
So,
You're going to do it on a helicopter. I just see it.
oh my
Yeah.
god, yes,
Yeah.
With some kind of like Hans Zimmer score in the background. Oh my
A
god.
lot of turtlenecks in your future. I feel like both Statham and Mark Strong are turtleneck guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like bald guys in general are turtleneck
Yeah,
guys.
they're
it feels
balancing
like
it
there's
out.
a serious vibe of
Yeah. Tucci too. You're right.
yeah.
It's not about.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Sounds
Yes.
good.
And we're back. All right, Cass.
Okay. So a few years ago, I was asked to dinner by a girl whom I knew through a group of friends I met at university. She introduced herself as Carmen, and I thought she was funny. She seemed smart, and we had a good conversation or two when we had met before. So we decided to exchange numbers when the semester ended for summer break. The plan was to meet up, have dinner, walk to the cinema where we would meet all of our friends to go watch The Hobbit. I live in Australia, so summer starts in December. So
Okay.
I email her a menu of the place I had picked. She approved of it. I booked it and told her the time. Date night comes, and boy, was it one that I will never forget.
Okay.
Carmen turns up late, grumpy and complaining about having had a bad day. After sitting down, she gets even angrier because she's a vegetarian and there isn't much of a selection for her to eat. So the wait staff get the chef to come out, and he arranges a special meal for her, which she agrees to. After the wait staff takes the order for our meals and drinks, she proceeds to drink 2 bottles of wine by the time the entree arrives.
I'm not drinking 2 bottles of wine at home. Like on my own.
Dude.
I'm definitely not doing it in a restaurant.
You're just like, keep tapping it up.
Oh my god, that is so
much wine.
Also, didn't he say sorry if my brain isn't working, but didn't he say that he sent her
Yep.
the menu?
Yes, he did.
As a vegetarian,
You're looking immediately for your
yes,
options.
and if there's not anything there for you.
And you would have been like,
And-
you know what? Actually, I'm a vegetarian. I don't see anything on here that would really work for me. Can
right.
we look at someplace else?
I mean, and the truth is, your options are almost always going to be limited.
Yeah.
Find something on that menu that you like, and if you really can't, then ask
she
for
did.
something else.
She found 2 bottles of wine.
Oh,
2.
She
I
sure-
can't get over that.
Yeah.
Like
before the entree even
I can put it back,
arrives?
but I'm like,
That's
if I
fast.
finish a bottle of wine, I'm finished
right.
for
Yes.
the
And you
evening.
are at dinner, so that's a very like truncated period of time.
That is
like
very
you
true.
are
Before the entree arrives, you're housing it. You're up. I mean, I get it.
You
had
feel
even if
sick.
you've had a bad day, you're
I'd
just
throw
like,
up.
maybe 1 bottle.
Yeah.
2 bottles.
I would throw up. 2 bottles
a
of wine,
lot.
That's a lot.
a lot of tannins.
Well, there's gonna be a
red
headache.
or white.
There
I'm
is-
picturing red.
I know. And that,
which would
worse.
make you sick.
Yeah.
You're going to be so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your headache the next day, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Oh, God. Yeah.
As the night goes on, Carmen gets more aggressive and is progressively talking louder. By this stage, I start to think to myself, I'm just going to eat my food, form an excuse to skip the movie and go home. Throughout the night, meanwhile, the table behind us was hosting a wedding reception with a big family. And after our main meals arrive, the bride's father comes over and politely but strongly asks her to keep her voice down and watch her language.
Oh,
I have a feeling
I don't think Carmen's going to like that.
No, you don't think it's going to go out? Okay. You don't think it's going to go out 2 bottles of wine, Carmen?
No.
Doesn't like to be told that she's messing up.
What to do?
Oh.
I apologize for Carmen's behavior, but she has other ideas. Carmen snapped. She sculls her wine glass, proceeds to walk back to the wedding table to continue their, quote, discussion with the father, which actually just meant yelling at him.
I would be so
groom
embarrassed.
Stands up and with the good intention of calming her down and getting her to leave. But in a fit of pure rage, she pushes the groom and the father out of the way. As they try to walk her back, she marches over, picks up a platter of food from their table that was on that wedding table, then carries it down the steps of the restaurant, across the street, and dumps it into the harbor.
Oh my God. The big balls on Carmen.
Hurricane Carmen.
Wow.
Oh.
Could you imagine being her date?
No.
Put me. I'm
dissolving into the floor.
On
Yeah.
I like a puff of smoke,
Yes, exactly.
like a magician.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm out.
and you actually see the back of me running.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Like the Kool-Aid man through the fucking wall at that point.
I was stunned.
Your wedding.
When
A
she
wedding.
started arguing, I had gotten up to apologize and had thought it was time to call a cab and just take her home. But after she pulled her little stunt, I walked up to the wedding table, apologized for telling the waiter that had been so kind to us all night that she was paying for the bill, and gave him a $50 tip and went home.
Yeah. How hard are you trying to convince everybody? Like, I don't know her. This is a first date. Like,
They're screaming it.
You are
Yo,
like,
guys, I'm on a first date.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
I don't know her. I don't know her.
What was her name? Cameron?
Yeah,
I don't know her.
Please don't associate me with her.
To the wedding. Now,
Wow.
listen, being post-wedding now, would actually love to tell that story.
Yeah.
Like, if I was, I'd be
It's
like,
funny later.
It's funny later.
Yeah.
In the moment.
In the moment,
Also, listen-
this lady pushes Eric.
You are so lucky that didn't happen at your wedding, because your bridesmaids would have thrown fucking hands. Are you kidding me?
We ain't the ones.
There would have been a fight that night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
would have been delight.
Carmen is lucky that woman's friends weren't as like down and dirty as yours.
Oh my!
You almost just
goodness.
said Amy, and we all
we were thinking
knew.
it.
we knew who
And
it
I
was.
fucking
knew.
love her for it.
Yep,
but
we knew.
Carmen doesn't want to meet Amy.
No, Carmen does not want to eat me, Amy. Carmen doesn't want to eat me, Amy, then Cassie.
No,
Well,
Because Amy's the quick to fire, and I'm the flame torch.
Yeah.
I'll continue the fire.
Me and Mackenzie are
all
just
night
there
long.
for support.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah,
You heard that.
Mackenzie's the one that goes to the waitstaff and be like, "Okay, so we need to reorder this platter of
Yes,
food
exactly.
because this isn't our fault." Like
Absolutely.
that's what Mackenzie's
Yes.
doing.
Can this be put on
Her
tab?
and Vanessa
Yeah.
are like
Yes.
working that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Keegan's like, "That's crazy!" Like right next to me. Wasn't that crazy? Are you okay?
Did you see that?
Wow. Okay. All right. This is a listener story. In 2016, I had just gotten out of a really bad marriage with my ex-wife. Leading up to the election, she had slowly been radicalized to the far right and became a completely different person than the woman I fell in love with. This is such an sadly familiar story.
Honestly,
I feel like this happened to so many families.
So sad.
Yeah, during that time. I had checked out of the relationship long before the divorce went through, and feeling isolated and lonely, I decided to join Plenty of Fish.
Oof.
I started talking to a woman on there, and after a week of texting, I invited her to meet me for a drink. I arrived at the bar she had chosen without doing any research on the place beforehand and realized that it was a honky-tonk.
Surprise.
We've all been to a similar establishment.
Yeah. And someone who's just been traumatized going through
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You're very lucky if there's not a Trump flag in there.
Yeah, very much.
Not trying to generalize, but just saying.
Yeah.
Now, this is a pretty common establishment where I live, but it really wasn't my scene. I hesitated at the front door, feeling extremely out of place in my freshly pressed slacks and baby blue button down that matched my eyes. My mama always said it made my eyes pop. That's fucking true. We've seen blue, like a certain shade of blue with a blue shirt.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
I think I was the only man in that bar with long hair, and I contemplated turning around and rushing to my car.
Hippie.
But then, over the line of dancers on the floor, I caught sight of my date. She looked beautiful, sitting under a bright light in a booth above the dance floor, wearing a tight red dress and sipping what looked like a whiskey. She looked better than her pictures, and I took a deep breath and wove my way through the crowd to her. When I called her name, she turned around and smiled at me and motioned me to sit down across from her. I slid into the booth and started to make small talk as well as I could over the blaring country music and the rowdy crowd all around us. She handed me a drink menu and said I'd have to order at the bar. And before I could decide what to get, my date looked over my shoulder and waved at someone. I was a bit surprised because her polite smile became much warmer. Her relaxed posture straightened right up, and I swear, if she'd had a tail, it'd be wagging.
Oh my God.
Curious, I turned around and watched as a handsome stranger came sauntering over to us. Ladies, this man looked like he'd walked off the cover of a romance book.
Oh, no.
Black cowboy hat sitting low over his sultry brown eyes, tight black t-shirt,
Hey, darling.
painted on jeans, and
my
black cowboy boots.
Oh, wow.
He grinned around a toothpick as he reached our table
Okay, Thunder Road.
and tipped his hat first at her, then at me. Howdy, I'm Jake.
Howdy.
I want to know where they're at. Are they in Texas?
Have to be.
I looked at my date, assuming she knew this guy, but she looked flustered, opening her mouth, but no sound came out. So I decided to speak first. Hi. He turned his attention to me, still grinning like a Cheshire cat, and said, "Oh, you must be the other one." What? Huh? He reached behind him and grabbed an empty chair, lifting it over to the empty space at the booth, basically cutting off any way of escape. He practically melted into the chair, sprawling out with his legs wide open, and took off his hat, placing it on the table between me and my date. I'm sure I looked very confused and disturbed because this man chuckled and took the toothpick out of his mouth and threw it into my date's whiskey glass.
Wish you wouldn't. Oh,
She tried to say something, but he ignored her, his full attention on me. Our fair Jenny didn't tell you. I'm here for a date with her too. Bad luck for her though, because I see something else much more mouthwatering.
Oh,
He talks like he's in a
romance novel.
My God.
How many?
I'm sure I looked like a caught fish. I felt like a light breeze would have knocked me over. Apparently, Jenny had double booked her date night on purpose and freely admitted to it, not looking the least bit guilty.
Damn.
While I had been blindsided, Jake had gotten a text from her right before he got to the bar saying she hoped he didn't mind waiting until her first date was done.
Wow.
We've had a couple of those where people double booking.
Listen, it's
Bold.
very difficult to pull
And
off.
never the same location.
No, not the same location.
Yeah.
I did 3 in one night.
Damn.
One time. I
Hat trick.
triple
Hat
booked.
trick.
Yeah.
An early, a dinner time, and a post one. But yeah, I mean, that's not at the same place.
Not at the same place.
There's going to be overlap.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
And it's bold,
And you're
like
gonna
right
call,
before.
You're going to call Brad Doug.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Jake leaned in closer to me until I could
exactly.
practically feel the heat coming off of his body and looked at the drink menu that was still in my hand. He looked up at me through his eyes and drawled, "Thirsty, darling?"
Oh, my.
Jake
Now,
This is a porn book I've
a
definitely
right?
read.
This is an erotica. This is an erotica.
MMF.
And I've read this one.
Now,
It's a good one.
what would it be called? It had to have some like cowboy
Yeah.
midnight rodeo. Okay.
So quickly.
Well, that's a club. That's a club in.
We call it Midnight Rodeo.
That's a club in Springfield. It is. It's like a honky tonk club in Springfield called Midnight Rodeo. Okay,
That is what I'm going to call all MMFs from now on.
I read myself a Midnight Rodeo.
Ooh, wee.
That was a hot Midnight Rodeo.
Now, I'm bisexual, and Jake looked like a walking wet dream. Whether he was flirting with me to get a rise out of Jenny or if he was being genuine, I couldn't tell, but I decided to roll with it. I won't write out a play-by-play of our little show because it got a little dirty and both of us trying to one-up each other with pickup lines and flirty banter.
She's like, yeah. drool.
Jenny tried to laugh it off at first, but the longer we ignored her, the more red in the face she got. Eventually, she slammed her hands on the table and stood up, yelling something with the F word that I couldn't hear over the loud music. We laughed as she stormed away, and Jake picked up my hand and kissed the back of it, saying, good riddance. Long story short, Jake and I hooked up that night, and 7 years later, we just got married.
What?
And you better believe that my sexy cowboy husband tells this story every chance he gets.
That's fucking amazing. Congratulations on your Midnight
is this a
Rodeo.
Penthouse forum because
Right, I know.
I didn't have enough details.
No,
The
that's
ones-
that was awesome.
That is incredible. Oh my God.
Worked out.
Congratulations, sexy cowboy Jake and husband.
Doug.
No. Fuck you, Jenny. Okay. This one is pretty wild.
Okay.
I really don't know where to go with this one. So let's just dive in.
Buckle up.
Guy I met on Hinge. We're talking for a bit, and he invited me on a date to the zoo. I love animals, and it was the start of summer and incredibly hot out, so I figured it'd be great to get my steps in and look at the critters. I show up. He's wearing a clown sweater, which I don't know what that
bold
means.
choice.
Is it a sweater with clowns on it?
Or is it a sweater that a clown would wear?
Correct.
Like giant puffy buttons.
I have no idea. There's no elaboration beyond that, but
I would love a picture.
yes.
I need more.
Clown sweater,
Okay.
long jeans, and boots. Meanwhile, I'm in jean shorts and a tank top with a water bottle. I was confused on why he was dressed so warmly as it was 90 degrees and humid, but I ignored it. We walked and then took the subway, and he knew the city better than I did. Tried making conversation with him, and he was virtually silent the whole ride. I made comments about how excited I was to go to the zoo as I hadn't been to one in a while. He doesn't respond.
Are you with the right guy? Did you
Did you randomly pick one up? It's the wrong person.
It's Pennywise.
Oh no.
Oopsie.
Weird, but I assumed he might be nervous and let it go. We get off our
He's
stop.
had headphones in the whole time. He's like, why are you
Listening
following
to a
me?
podcast.
What? I'm on a date. What? We get off our stop and he goes, we're here. I look up confused because we aren't at a zoo. He took me to the Death Museum.
Oh, listen.
Oh,
look, that's a
different.
very specific kind of person.
Yeah.
That you would want to go. It's not first date.
The Death Museum is not the zoo.
It's not.
It's
And
also very much not the zoo.
It's
yes.
very much like
very different.
very different.
And
You're in
people
a
will
different
have
mindset.
very strong opinions about it. You can't take someone you don't know
to the Death
to the
Museum.
Death Museum.
Yeah.
No.
I'll put
Or
that in
the
our
zoo.
list of advice.
Yeah.
In our advice book that we're writing.
Yes.
I feel like this
Should
could be in the
First date,
top 10.
Not
at
the Death
least.
Museum. Yeah.
I do want to write an advice book now.
Tips that we've learned from our podcast.
Don't double book yourself.
Yeah.
Don't go to the Death Museum.
Exactly.
Without
Don't drink 2
telling-
bottles of wine.
Don't drink 2 bottles of wine prior to the entree arriving.
Woof. As in a museum with real corpses and organs and the
Right.
macabre. And listen, I might have been into it if I knew that that's
Sure.
where we were going.
Exactly. You
But
got to have the conversation.
He asked me to go to the zoo. And so we spent the whole date awkwardly looking
maybe
at
he was double booked too and forgot which.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, I thought this was Death Museum chick. So we spent the whole date awkwardly looking at colons and skulls and bog bodies. Kept trying to make a conversation, but quickly realized he was just not a talking person in real life, which is also weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, not only are you in the Death Museum, she's trying to like make it light, but you're with not silent.
I don't like that.
Silent
Oh.
talker. I'm terrified at this point. So it's a complete 180 from how he was over text. But I found him attractive, so I kept trying.
Oh, girl.
Oh, God. Even with a clown?
No.
It came time to leave and grab food, and people were out walking their dogs because it was a beautiful day.
Oh,
and
God.
being inside a dark, freezing building, being outside again was so nice. We got food from a truck. A lady walked by with a gorgeous giant dog, and I said, "Oh, so cute," and complimented her dog. After she left, my date said he couldn't stand dogs with an annoyed
All
face.
right, we're done.
And at that point, things felt so awkward. We finished eating and we're heading back to the subway just so I could get in my car and leave.
Yeah.
I kid you not. When we got off the subway, a man on the platform, trigger warning, violence ahead.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Give you a second to fast forward like 30 seconds. A man on the platform stabbed two people in front of us. And apparently had also done this at a previous stop. And police were waiting to catch him at the top of the stairs.
Need to know
shit.
what was going on cosmically
Whoa.
that day.
Yeah. What is that chart so I can
What's
stay
happening?
inside that day?
Because that's terrifying.
Whoa.
To the mental, like, first of all, yeah,
That's
no,
a
it's too much.
lot.
Me and my date had to walk through literal blood spatter and past paramedics to get back to the surface.
No.
I was officially bewildered, and he laughed about it
No.
and gave me an awkward fist bump and went back to his dorm.
That person has people under the floorboards. I doesn't like dogs.
Yeah.
Surprise trip to the death museum.
No.
Laughed at two people getting stabbed.
No.
Yeah.
Like that should have been that could have been a trauma bonding experience for you guys.
Yeah.
But he's not traumatized.
No, he's like, doo, doo, doo.
Fist bump.
That
Bye
is
bye.
terrifying.
Ugh.
This was all in Philadelphia. If you're curious, clown sweater guy, I hope you find someone for you, you fucking weirdo.
I don't know if I do hope he finds
yeah.
someone. What's that person going to be like?
I hope you learn to like dogs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Ugh.
Oh my
Who doesn't
God.
like dogs?
It's a red flag for me.
Oh, it's
actually
huge red flag for me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You gotta like pets.
Ugh.
Okay, well, I think we all need to take 5 and we'll come back with the Tainted Love.
Sounds good. And I'm back to tell you a story.
Story time.
Story time. I'm going to start my story by saying, just giving a trigger warning, because my story this is probably one of the most violent, one of the more violent
Okay.
things that I've told.
Okay.
And there is domestic violence.
Oof.
So just kind of giving anybody a heads up if this might not be the story for them, or at least get your head in the right headspace to hear it. So I got my story from an episode of Fatal Vows. I listened to the podcast Distant Replay. There's an episode on there that I listened to. So this is the story of Tamara Sheikh. She grew up in Montreal, Canada. She lives with her mom, sister, and a brother, and sister and 2 brothers. She is part of this Trinidadian family, so island family. I think that the area in which she grew up in Montreal is kind of rife with that. It seems like there's a lot of people from the islands in that area, which makes sense because Montreal speaks French. A lot of the islands are French speaking, things like that. The area that she grows up in is particularly poor, though. It's called the Burgundy neighborhood, so it's like a specific neighborhood in Montreal. She grows up loving family. She's a real kind of a bit of a bookworm. She's really smart. She's very, very into her family. She very much, very into school and just kind of a bit of a goody two shoes.
Okay.
So she's kind of a good girl, right? She meets Tommy Kane. And it's kind of a smaller area, a smaller neighborhood. So even though I don't think they go to the same high school, they end up meeting through mutual friends.
Yeah.
And, kind of running in similar
We're from
circles.
smallish communities.
Yeah.
It
happens,
Yeah.
right? Like you may go to one school, but then a few friends from another school, and the circles kind of intertwine. Tommy is so good at football. He is a big football star. He is, kind of a bit of a like legend in the community.
Oh, okay.
He's really good. He plays all sports, and he's just really super into it. So good that he actually wins a scholarship to Syracuse.
Wow.
For college. They actually have one of the most winning seasons when he's there. So he goes to Syracuse to go to play football, which is a big deal. He's able to go get his degree. He gets to kind of get out of the small neighborhood. He really has this huge opportunity ahead of him. He does get into a little bit of trouble when he's there. He ends up in an altercation with a female police officer who is giving him a ticket. He had stacked up a few tickets, and football players on campus think they can get away with anything.
I was gonna say, listen, I was biting my tongue because I was like, I don't know where the story is going, and I've been known to make snap judgments before.
Well, no, he's got a string of these.
There is nothing scary when you were like, he's the biggest football big deal, small town.
Yep.
There is nothing scarier than a high school star athlete.
Oh yeah,
they are, because
maybe a college
general,
star athlete.
Yes,
maybe a pro.
And again, this is just a broad generalization, but especially in certain communities where you worship sports.
Yes,
because I saw that too. I watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary and stuff like that too, and the amount
that documentary is
sad,
bananas.
Yes, it is. But the amount that we allow sports stars to get away with, especially in small communities.
Yeah.
When they're winning games, and you're just it's fucking whatever, do whatever you want. And already for teenagers, you can't give a teenager that kind of power.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. No. It's tough. And especially if he's going out of country to play sports. This is a big deal. And he's also a pretty good student. So this kind of altercation could really ruin everything. He is out of the country. He could possibly get deported. Yeah. Absolutely.
So what kind of altercation are we talking about? Do we know? Was it physical?
It was a physical altercation in which he becomes quite aggressive with a female officer. Apparently, though, he gets off with barely a slap on the wrist. He gets some, When
are we going to learn that the more you let people get away with this kind of thing, the more they think that they can do whatever they want, and it's just going to escalate.
Yeah.
Yep.
We see it all the time.
I bring this up at this point too, because you don't really know, in the things I watch, you don't know how bad this situation was until they take him to court or until the end of the story. And I'm just it's these things. It's this place where he's young. He doesn't have a lot of injuries. You have nothing to really blame it on except for just being just being
entitled because you've been allowed to get away with things forever.
Yeah. Well, that was the same as the Aaron Hernandez documentary. It was there was all these little steps where it's we could have cut it off right there, or we could have cut it off right there. It didn't have to. There were 7 murders or something that happened.
Yeah, it's bananas. Truly crazy.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't know that story.
You should watch the documentary.
It's on Netflix, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's upsetting. It's sad too.
Ooh,
yeah,
it's really sad.
Upsetting. But yeah, I think I thought about that in the beginning of that documentary because of course, things happen later on. I think there was CTE involved with him towards the end, but still, he was allowed to.
CTE didn't happen. That's why I'm bringing it up this way, because he is a football player.
Right.
But that's the thing. They say that they really don't know that much, but that people that even play youth, if I had a kid, no fucking way they'd ever touch a football. Ever. Because especially the ones that start early and do the youth stuff, they've seen it. They the decrease in IQ and EQ, all of that stuff. CTE is insidious, and they've even tried to curtail it with these youth little leagues where it's just flag or touch, but it doesn't. Your brain's just knocking back and forth constantly.
Yeah,
and like you said, it's the constants of it. Yeah. It's not the. But
it's not going to happen from playing football one time.
No. And he had been playing since he was a kid. I mean, we're talking about somebody who grew up in sports. This was something.
But all the more reason then to keep a close eye on when behavior starts to get aggressive or weird. You can't let that stuff slide. You shouldn't be letting it slide, period, for anyone.
That's exactly right.
But especially because we know what we know now about things like CTE. It's you can't be just excusing really aggressive behavior.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing too, is I don't think there were any other real red flags up in that point. Mm-hmm. I mean, he'd had some. I mean, he's a kid, you know, and when you're a kid, you do dumb things. I'm sure that there was probably
getting aggressive with a a
cop.
female cop.
I mean, he's lucky he wasn't like literally put in prison and or deported.
Or shot.
But I'm a certain well, that too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that because he was the star, you know, he's a star football player. I'm sure the coaches went in and were like, if he could get deported from this, he's a kid. I'm sure I can almost hear the conversation happening. You know what I mean? But that's the other thing too. Like I said, other than this, there's not a whole other lot of red flags.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
you're not getting a bunch of like, his grades are good. He's like an AB student. We're not talking even average. Like he's above average student. He's not just keeping grades to stay in sports, which kind of, you know, is kind of the joke.
Right. That you just take easy classes that you can just pass.
Right. You're like, I took PE with a PE minor. You know, like, okay. You know, not to say that that's an easy course. At any rate, my point.
Be hard for me.
I know.
Amen. I went on a hike yesterday.
I have asthma, for God's sake.
Sweet Jesus. I did not realize that this hike that I went on yesterday was like straight up.
Oh,
I got there and I looked and I was like, oh my God. It's in Burbank. Like the entrance is in Burbank. It's the Wisdom Tree hike.
Oh, why didn't you call me?
You get to... Girl, listen, I don't think you don't like a steep incline. I know that about you. And like, this was straight up. Yeah. Like I was getting pissed like halfway through the hike.
Did I need to bring climbing gear?
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
A rope and
boy.
Anyway, so he like I said, straight A student. He gets through college and, you know, like I said, they're like a winning football team. So he gets picked up by the Seattle Seahawks. He is on his way.
Holy shit.
So now he's graduated. He's got a good degree. He got a degree in marketing. He's like picked up by the Seattle Seahawks. He's a wide receiver for them and he does well. Like he's like known like at the time that we're talking like 80s, late 80s, early 90s type of situation. When he went there, he was like a star player. Like people were like, he is going to save the Seahawks. Like he is so good, right?
Wow. Do you know how many people like how many people have been in the NFL?
The dream.
Like, whole
the
history of it. It's like 800 or something. I don't know, but just like
Well, and he got a pretty decent contract with them. You know, I think they speculated around $3 million contract, which is pretty good, especially 80s money. Exactly right. But also too, I think, you know, it was funny because I think there's a big debate, you know, oh, should football players make that much money? I think that the question is what do they give up? And I'm not saying I see both sides of this. I absolutely am a sports fan. So of course I'm, you know, I love sports, but I do think that you are giving up a lot and you're working maybe 3 years.
Yeah,
you're
putting your life on the line.
You're putting your life on the line for just a few years and may not be able to come out of that with being able to do anything else. So you're probably talking about your life's entire worth.
You know, a lot of people are saying that Travis Kelce manufactured this relationship with Taylor Swift to help set up his retirement career because he's like close to the end of how long he's going to be able to work it.
Listen, I mean, who knows?
They seem happy. I'm not trying to shit on their relationship at all.
Who knows?
That's just what's in the streets.
And I do think that too. I think as a football player, as somebody who gets a big grand amount of money coming up from a poor neighborhood, you know, never had much, you know, of course, your first thoughts are probably taking care of your family and things like that. But you're also concerned about people sponging off you. Oh, you suddenly have come into money. So now women going to be hitting on you. People are going to be coming into your life. Suddenly you got a lot of friends you never had before. And for him, that was very overwhelming. And he'd gone back to the neighborhood and he'd run into, you know, one of his old friends. And he was, you know, Tamara. He was like, holy shit, Tamara, how you doing? Like, I haven't seen you forever. And they just really hit it off. And I think
they dated in high school too, or did they just know each other?
No, they didn't. They just knew each other. Okay. So it was just one of those things like he saw her in a new light, you know, he's like, she's, you know, right up my alley. He was very attracted to smart women. So for him, you know, he dated and he was a notorious dater. And even people after he started dating Tammy, you know, people were like, oh yeah, no, he was fucking around. But I think that's the nature of that type of thing. So he started dating her. I think that for him, he was like, this is a piece of home. She's not in for me for my money. I've known her for a long time. This is somebody I can trust.
Yeah.
This is somebody who will be with me not because of a lavish lifestyle that I can provide for them, but because they like me for me. And so they did. They started dating. He would fly her into Seattle to watch games and come stay with him. And, you know, it was a very like back and forth, like she'd fly home. And again, there was some notorious behavior.
It's a womanizer. He's a young football player. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
That's the least surprising thing I've heard today.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not a surprising story across the board, but it's interesting. And it seems like for her part, she didn't seem to be necessarily bothered by it. And I think probably for her, and this is just complete speculation, I'll tell you, I don't know this for a fact, but it seems as though she probably had in her mind, you know, hey, I'm dating a football player. He's going to do what he's going to do. But at the end of the day, he's coming home to me.
I think a lot of sports wives just feel that way.
Yeah.
Like maybe not a lot of them do, but I think that there's definitely a segment of sports wives who are just kind of like, well, this is what it is.
Knowing that you're not going to be there and they have to travel so much and stuff. It's
a short period.
Pick your battles, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah. It doesn't seem though, like I said, it doesn't seem like she's ever been really that disturbed by it. About a few years into the relationship, she gets pregnant though. And it seems from what I hear, he was had been talking to friends about settling down at some point, having some kids or whatever. But again, he's still playing. So she's living back in Montreal with the baby and her family and, you know, just kind of doing things there. But she's a smart girl. Right? She's got a job. She's working for the bank. She is taking care of herself. So as much as he's probably sending money home to like help support, of course, his family, she's got her own shit going on. She's taking care of business too. She's no slouch. She's not like quitting her job and, you know, living off of his money at all.
Which is part of what was appealing.
Probably exactly what was appealing to him. He's like, she doesn't need me. Necessarily. And I think that her independence and all those things were probably what attracted to him in the first place, you know? Just like anybody in the NFL, your career is so hanging in a balance. And his career did just that. And he had some injuries that took him out of the game for a while and an injury that ended up kind of pulling him entirely from the NFL. So
that's the only argument. Well, besides the argument of things are worth what people are willing to pay for them, which is kind of what it is. Yeah. But the real argument that I see is that like you are so likely to get injured as a sports ball player that and you don't
specifically like football or any contact sport for sure.
And you don't necessarily like this guy sounds like he, you know, was really smart and, you know, worked really hard in school and stuff like that. But that's not always the case. Like there's a lot of documentaries as well about the way that the school systems are set up to prop up athletes.
Absolutely.
And so
I 100% like I truly believe college athletes deserve to get paid.
Oh my God.
You know that's changed.
Or
now,
they at least deserve to make money off of their own merchandise.
Correct.
They do now?
They do.
Okay, good. Because that
great.
was fucked up.
I agree. I think it's a big thing I'm about to. I think it's you're literally using the likeness of this person who's putting their career on the line, their own
and
whole
they can't even
livelihood
make money signing their own jerseys. Isn't that insane?
Stupid.
Yeah, I saw people like, especially if they come from like a poor background, they have scholarship athletes. They were like starving. Yeah, literally starving because they couldn't afford food.
So predatory, and only a tiny percentage of those would go on to be professional athletes.
That's right.
And again, the system was so set up to
they're getting their college paid for. Well, sure.
Well, and also you're not demanding a lot out of them academically often. Right. Like they would prop them up. So then they would leave school with no money because they weren't getting paid as college athletes. And then a shitty education because they were being allowed to take nothing courses.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so then they couldn't do anything after school. So anyway, all that to say, I understand football players getting paid what they do because there is a chance that they could only work for a couple of years. And
the lifespan of your career
and
is
a lot of them
short.
can't do anything after.
Continuing medical bills because a lot of times when they get pulled out, it's because of a fucking
injury.
Yeah, a really bad injury. So, and especially if it's, you know, a brain injury or something or concussions and everything that you have to deal with. It's
predatory across the board.
Can I just put it out there that whenever people are really into sports and have issues with sex workers because women aren't honoring their bodies and they're selling their bodies, what the fuck do you think football players are doing?
Ooh,
That
girl.
is such a great point.
They're selling their bodies for your entertainment.
Absolutely.
It's no different.
Wow.
So anyway, off my soapbox, continue the story.
I don't know that I can. I think that was such a good, I think we have to end it here. That was such a good point. I'm like, I've never thought about it that way. It's true. You're absolutely right. But that being said, he, was 3-4 years into his career. He's like done. And so he's got to pack it up, go back home to Montreal and be with his girl and his baby. And, he does try to get picked up by the CBC, which is
The Canadian Broadcasting Channel?
No, football. Canadian football league, CFL. So I don't know. Anyway,
whatever. The Canadian one.
It's the Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
And he
the
gets
loonies. Isn't that their money?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a
yeah.
$1 bill, loony.
Oh, cool.
And a 2 needs a 2.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, we are off the rails. I'm so sorry, guys. Anyway, he gets picked up by the Canadian Football League to play, he plays for a few months, but,
Which part of his body did he hurt?
He
his
hurt
knee?
his Achilles.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a tough injury.
That would hurt to play on.
Yeah. Well, and it takes a long time to heal is one of the things they were talking about in the documentary too. They were just like, it's not a quick heal. It's a tough one and it takes a long time and it's a lot of therapy and this and that to get through it. So for him, he's really just kind of hanging it up. But one of the things that you hear about him is that he's such a local hero, right?
Yeah.
He goes back, he doesn't make very much playing the Canadian Football League. It's like $65,000 or something.
Oh,
he gives his entire salary to the local sports gymnasium, basically, that supported him when he was younger. So he gives
like a Boys and Girls Club or something,
exactly
like a YMCA.
Exactly like that. So he puts his entire salary into this club for kids in his community.
That's sweet.
Which is incredibly sweet. Like you can see that he's like, this is the place where I got my, start. I was
so
able
far,
to,
this is sounding pretty. I'm waiting for the Tainted Love to drop here.
But when you wrap your entire self into your career and who you are, I mean, once that's taken away from you, he tries to do all the right things, right? He starts coaching. He's helping to support his community. He's volunteering. He even decides, you know what, Tammy, it's time to get married.
Okay.
And it was funny too, because they were talking about, like, some of his friends were interviewed on the Fatal Vows that I was watching, and they were saying that a lot of people in that community, that's just kind of not what they do. They'll have babies, they'll have families or whatever, but never get married. But never get married. And they were like, so for him, it was a big deal to like make that commitment and say, I want to be with you. They do get married and they end up having 4 kids total. They start off right away. They're like,
he's looking for something else to fill his time
an
and
anchor.
fill meaning and
yeah. And things seem to be going pretty well, but he's not making a ton of money. They end up moving into Tammy's mother's house for a while.
Woof.
Yeah,
pressure cooker.
Never good, but
sometimes it has to happen.
It happens.
Yeah.
And it was a temporary situation. And at this time too, Tammy's still making money. She's doing well. She's moving her way up in the bank. She's got a good career.
Yeah, but that can sometimes be harder when you're used to being the person who provides you're used to being top dog.
Yeah, big money maker and bringing in all the cash. And I'm certain that there's a level of worthlessness that comes with not being able to, provide.
Well, also just losing your dream is tough to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah. And he is, he's still a big deal in the community. He's still, everybody, the local hero, and, coaching and doing all these things, volunteering and whatnot. But he ends up taking a path that is going to lead to all of the bad, right? He did a little bit of drugs. He did a little bit of drinking when he was playing football, but
now he's got all the time to do all the drugs.
All the time. Exactly. He doesn't have to worry about making it.
He's not getting tested.
Yeah. He doesn't have to worry about anything now.
He also is probably in pain.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So he starts partying. He starts doing cocaine. He's getting heavy into cocaine, which cocaine it's a party drug, but when people take it as like a absolute, listen, I'm not here to dispel.
We're not judging it.
Espouse the good name of cocaine here, but like when people get really heavy into it, it can change a personality.
Well, it's just like if you get really heavy into anything, right? It's
truly.
Just like it's just like drinking
for sure.
It's just like that can go overboard. Easily.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think cocaine, and I think I've seen it too, Christina, like when you see somebody who's taken a turn on cocaine, they turn into a monster.
Yep.
And he started doing that. He really was starting to get
very, very aggressive too. It makes people very aggro.
Very aggro. It's a very aggressive drug, and it does turn people into monsters. And he starts just going down this path, and, at some point, he picked a woman who's got a good head on her shoulders and isn't going to take a lot of shit. And so eventually she's just like, you know what? I'm not interested in going down this path if this is the way things are going to go.
Yeah.
And she decides that she's going to call it off. Well, they've been split for a while. Things are so bad that he is just like, he has nowhere to go now. He's living with his mom in the house that he bought her when he made his big first money. He got her a beautiful home. So he moves in with her. But mom's, he had, before he moved in with his mom, he had gotten to a point that was so bad with the drugs and the everything and the depression and all the shit that he was going through that he actually signed himself into a mental hospital.
Wow.
Because he was like, I'm not well.
Snaps for self-awareness.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm not well. I have to deal with this depression. They treated him. They released him. He went to live with his mom. His mom's like calling them. He's not better, you guys. It's not better. It's still bad. It's still bad. And so she's trying to convince him, like, this is the drugs. This isn't you. This is drugs. This is what's, giving, this isn't who you are, right? This is because of the drugs. And he's like, no, it's not. It's not the drugs. I'm fine.
Okay.
So his mom is like, we need to have an intervention. So she enlists the help of one of the church members who's a good friend of Tammy's, and she's like, Tammy, I know, you guys are going to get divorced, whatever, but I really feel like this isn't going to happen unless you're there. Like, I really need you to be part of this intervention. And I think probably for her part, even if she wasn't interested in necessarily resolving the relationship,
father of her kids.
That's exactly right. It's father of 4 of her children. Were her only children, 4 children. And, so I think that she sees the benefit and she sees the way he's going, and this is a solution.
I would do it for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this somebody she still, I'm certain, has love for? You know what I mean? And this is not who he is, and she can see that. So she arrives with the member, the church member who's their
facilitating.
Kind of good friend who decided to come along with them. They arrive, and immediately
he's aggressive.
Aggressive.
I've seen the show Intervention. I know how this goes.
He doesn't. I don't think they even get to talk about intervention at first. He's immediately pissed that she's even there. She walks in the room. He's like furious. He's upset, probably on cocaine.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm certain.
I would imagine. Yeah.
He immediately gets aggressive with her. So aggressive that he takes her by the hair, grabs her, pulls her into the kitchen
in front of people, everybody.
The only 2 other people there are the mother and the woman who grabs her by the hair, starts pulling her, slamming her face against the floor, punching her, grabs a knife.
Fucking one.
Right. Well,
they
the mom
must not have realized that he was that.
No, I'm sure they
because
had
they
no
would have had
clue.
other people there, right?
Oh my gosh.
I would imagine.
Who knew it was going to turn into that?
Yeah.
Immediately? I mean, they walked in the door. The mom is, of course, calling for, authorities. And the other woman grabs the knife out of his hand. He grabs another knife. And stabs her in the throat.
Oh, my God.
And it does kill her.
Oh, my God.
Who knew?
So fast.
Fast. So quickly. It went from like 0 to 100. Right? He is obviously out of his mind. And of course the police, arrest him. He's being charged. originally we're going to charge him with first degree, but even the doctors and everybody is like, he wasn't enough in his right mind to charge him with first degree murder.
True. It's not premeditated.
It doesn't
It's
seem,
just,
It wasn't premeditated.
Yeah.
However, and I'm not giving any sympathy to this guy. You know what I mean? He fucking did what he did.
That's right.
He made a choice to take drugs.
The mother of his children.
I don't think that he did it on purpose, but I do believe that he did it. And so it is what it is. You have
to live with the consequences.
Finally, for once in your life, you're going to actually see real consequences.
Yeah.
He does end up pleaded guilty to manslaughter, which is a lesser charge
for this. Once he was sober,
I didn't watch anything that showed him at that point.
Because I can just imagine coming down from something like that and then really grasping what you've done.
One of the articles I read does say that he pleaded for like the forgiveness of the family. The family, I guess, left by the time he was making these statements, though. And I can not blame them at all. I mean, this is absolutely 4 children now have lost both of their parents.
Yep.
In a flash.
Well, and she did nothing wrong.
She did nothing wrong. She did everything.
She was trying to help
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for him, he ends up in the Canadian system, it's, I guess, manslaughter, of course, is a lesser charge. It's the same here. But they end up giving him 18-year sentence, which
in Canada
is very high.
That's a lot.
It's very high. It's very high. So even though, they're like, he may not have meant to do it. He may not have planned it. But
no, but it's still
you still fucking
heinous.
Heinous. Yeah. Absolutely heinous. The crime in itself.
Oh, can you imagine? His mom must have so much
guilt.
Not only guilt and
sure.
But she was trying to help. She knew that something was still wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You just never think,
of course not,
that it was going to go to 11 like that.
No, and I'm sure she still had love for her daughter-in-law.
Oh, yeah,
and
certainly.
Can you imagine
and her grandbabies,
seeing that happen right in front of you?
You lose your son, you lose your daughter-in-law, you lose your grandbabies.
Yeah, because I'm sure that they're not going to let you
lose everything there.
That's awful.
You lose everything there. And to the point too, it does at one point in around 2010, he ends up, because the family sues, of course. Ava is the sister who's now taking care of the wrongful death, all these things. And also for child support. Yep. Like she's now got 4 kids that she never had. Has 4 kids now to take care of. And won a suit for about just under $600,000. So he had to sell his mom's home.
Oh my God.
But could you imagine wanting to even live there, knowing
that happened in your house?
Yeah.
But you got to live somewhere.
It's true. I mean, the whole thing is very devastating across the board for everyone, obviously for Tammy and her family and everyone involved, but it's devastating, just devastating. So of course, he goes to prison. He gets out on some special release around 2015, sorry, 2015, because they do like a day release program where they can kind of go out. He was then re-incarcerated for failing a drug test. Basically,
sweet Jesus,
like just stay away from the drugs and alcohol. It's literally everything that's destroyed you. But
at that point, it's also like, would you want to be in your right mind and have to fucking think about everything that you did?
Yeah, I don't know. He was fully released around, he is fully released now. But the part of the release was to go into a program. Yeah. A drug and alcohol program. So
that poor woman, those poor children.
Just
so
she
sad.
Did everything. She did everything.
Well, yeah. And of course, this is, 20 some years later, our own country dealing with the opioid crisis. And I think sometimes about how difficult addiction must be.
Yeah.
I myself, when I lived in Miami, participated very much in coke. And I realize now, what a, Russian roulette that you're playing, that I am lucky that I don't have the gene, that I was able to say, you know what? This could keep going. Yeah. And I will have a very different life. So I should stop doing this.
But some people don't.
I know.
Some people don't have that off switch. Yeah. I mean, and I understand it because it's just when you're having a rough time, especially in this society where there's not a lot of real support.
Yeah.
You lean on substances. It's very easy to lean on substances.
Absolutely.
I get it. And again,
you hear this
none
a lot
of
with
this is
military.
to excuse him.
You hear this a lot with military, and you hear this a lot with sports.
Yeah.
And I think that it has a lot to do with, we use you for what we need you for. When we're done with you, you're on your own.
Well, we have no health care. There's no support.
No.
And this is people trying to deal with their pain.
They're medicating themselves.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Instead of going to the doctor and, which if we lived in a civilized country, we would be able to do, to be able to have preventative resources, mental health resources, addiction resources.
I wonder what the addiction resources are like in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Curious to know.
I just don't know. Yeah. I mean, and again, and I did just say it, but like none of this is just a conversation about addiction and what it does. It's not an excuse for
absolutely not
for what he did, because that woman did nothing wrong and she didn't deserve what happened to her.
Right.
And for it to happen that quickly, that's so disarming.
It's who would have known? Yeah. You would have never known. And I mean, I don't think that his mother would have put her.
No, I don't think she did anything wrong necessarily either.
Like, I don't think that she thought it would turn into that.
No.
But it just, I mean, you want to talk about a left turn very quickly. Poof. I mean, but he did his, job for, and then you're nothing. That's a big jarring situation for people.
Well, I think it's also like, it is a jarring situation, but like you said, you do have a choice in the way you want to deal with a challenge or a change in your life. You made a decision. You made a decision. You made a decision to wallow and treat your pain with drugs. That is a choice.
Right. And you had other things to live for. You had 4 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he had a standing in the community. I mean, another choice would have been like, hey, I need a job, or is there any idea? There's a million
so many places.
Go work at that center.
Exactly.
Go work at that Boys and Girls Club.
He coached and volunteered at that center for quite some time. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. It's the drugs and alcohol, of course, and like you going said, down that path.
Addiction is a disease, and some people just don't have that, like they're just wired differently, and like they don't have that ability to just switch it off.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the depression and the other things too on top of it, which he knew that was there, and he did. I mean, the fact that he had some, like you said, wherewithal to have put himself in, therapy or into the
also therapy costs money. Well, I don't know.
I don't know what it's like in Canada. I don't know.
They've got universal health care, don't they? Like everybody.
Yeah,
knows.
but I don't know if there are specific hoops you have to jump through.
Right.
I have no knowledge, but I mean, I can say from an American perspective, it's expensive.
Therapy
is expensive, and that's one thing. And I do want to acknowledge that, actually, because I do flippantly say, I think I even said in this episode, where I'm like, go to therapy. And I stand by that. You need to go to therapy. You need therapy. However, not everyone can just go to therapy.
Yeah,
it's so expensive. Also, finding the right therapist, a goddamn nightmare half the time. So, it's not that easy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, Cass.
Yeah. Lot to discuss.
Awful story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are we watching this week? Well, speaking of awful stories.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're all on Love Is One.
Holy.
At this point.
Fucking shit. Love has won.
Yeah.
Holy. Ooh. Did you see the second episode now?
I did.
All 3 of us are caught up to, by the time this episode comes out, all 3 Love Is One episodes will be out. But at this point, we've only seen the 2. And it's
disturbing.
Upsetting.
Wow. It really is. It's that whole, I think I texted you, Keegan, about like, is this where we're at right now as a society that we're just so lost and looking for meaning that we will cling on to Robin Williams as a galactic advisor to.
Yeah, I mean, and then
I wish he was my galactic advisor.
And also talking about drugs, because there are a few factors that keep people locked into that particular cult. And one of them is that they are all high. All the time.
Not sleeping, not eating, just getting high.
Yeah.
Dude, the girl with the glasses, that dramatic loss of weight. Like the last pictures they show of her in the group. I'm like,
Yeah.
she withers away to like nothingness. It's sad.
That woman that abandoned her kids.
Oh.
She is something.
She's still in it.
Oh,
yes, she is a full believer. Yeah, that show is truly wild, but it is one of those things. It's I watch it and I have empathy still, even though some of them hold some real troubling beliefs.
Yeah. I'll bet you they didn't get the vaccine.
Oh no. Oh God, no. No. They definitely did not. But also like, you know,
colloidal silver, they're fine.
I think they said some things about Hitler that are upsetting. So, you know, of course it turns left in that direction. But I still have empathy for those. I think you mean
it turns right.
But I have empathy for those people though, because it's just like when the system fails you so tremendously, like the woman you were just talking about with the glasses, she got sick, was in a coma, and had $500,000 in medical bills.
I can't even imagine having that hanging over my head.
Imagine,
makes me sick.
Like, it would be easy to turn to something else, like another way of living, because what we have built as a society is unsustainable for so many people.
Yeah.
And of course, you're in a very vulnerable place to get preyed upon with someone saying there's another way to live that doesn't involve these systems that fucked you over.
When she talks about, when the one that's still really involved says that Mother God talks about, like, what if this was all just fake, and
what if I made it all up?
And
she had like a moment of
asked
clarity
to go to the hospital, and she was like, I would never, like a joke, like I would never take her to a 3D hospital, like ha ha ha. And she's like, but she did.
She was dying.
Go.
Yeah.
Yes.
She knew. She had that moment. She was like, okay, take back seats.
Yeah.
JK, guys.
Yeah.
That's the devil talking. You're you've committed these people so far that you can't even get your own help.
And that woman who is out of it now, where she's just like, she lost control of her creation and she knew it. Like she lost control of it at the end. It got bigger than her, which is a scary thing to happen.
Yeah.
Scary.
Well, I have been watching, I've been on a 90s thriller kick.
Ooh.
And so I've watched a handful of 90s thrillers, but I will talk about
so cozy.
two. They are, they kind of are, because they're just so predictable
and nostalgic.
Like, and specific to a time period.
Yes.
Like I watched 2 Rene Russo joints.
Oh,
I watched In the Line of Fire and The Thomas Crown Affair.
I love The Thomas Crown Affair.
Yes. And Rene Russo, by the way, in The Thomas Crown Affair, real hot. She's 45 in that movie.
Honey, that was an awakening. That was a sexual awakening for me.
Hot.
When I was younger, I was like,
and those two together hot. And you know what? Those two together hot and age appropriate, because I liked watching them bangity bang, but Rene Russo and Clint fucking Eastwood.
Oh God.
In The Line of Fire, when they're making out in the elevator in that movie, I am like, is this man
Pappy,
your grandpa?
It's time for bed.
Take your teeth out.
Time for bed.
Oh boy. I'm like, is he supposed to be sexy in this movie?
Oh, dude, we can have a whole conversation about Clint Eastwood.
Let's not.
Another time.
Let's never.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've been keeping that rolling along. But yeah, those two, because I watched In the Line of Fire and then wanted to watch Rene Russo.
These are
something else.
These are like, so that's kind of some of my favorite genre for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Fun. Yeah, the soundtrack to Thomas Crown Affair.
Impeccable.
Well, the good ones are real good.
Yeah.
The other ones are so 90s weird, where it's just like weird horns and drums at like weird points, just to emphasize that this is a action movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They have Sinner Man, and that's just one of my favorite.
Yes, they do. They do have Nina Simone. So
I earlier this year went on a real like 90s courtroom drama.
Yes.
Love it. I also watched The Firm for the first time recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. All the Tom Cruise ones from back in the day.
There you go.
I wasn't going to mention him, but yeah, the movie was good. What have you been watching?
I actually just finished watching Bosch, the new season, Bosch Legacy. So fucking good, dude. Yeah. This news, because he's not a cop anymore, so you guys maybe like Bosch Legacy better.
You can love him unabashedly.
Well, if you guys have something that we should watch, if you want to reach out and say hello and last chance on those holiday stories, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much.
Cheers.